Hello everyone, Phreak here from WCReplays.com. This audio commentary has been copyrighted 2005 by the site. And today I have for you an orc versus human audio. And this is not me, it is a clanmate, and it's not, what's his name? Ratty either. So instead we have as I said, human versus orc. This is from Lone Wolf TZ's perspective. He's against 4U Chili. And this will be talking about Archmage and Beastmaster and all of that fun stuff. Let's get this to the 15-second mark at the 1x speed with Fog of War on from Lone Wolf TZ's point of view. And we will unpause this now. This is not a game between pro gamers by any means, but they are both good players. And, you know, I mean, chances are if you're a pro gamer, you're not going to learn anything from me anyway. So what's the point of doing an audio on one of your games, right? Anyway, yeah. So, by the way, D-Boss is a noob. I don't know, no one's really seen from him in a while, unless you visit the WoW forums, and then you're a noob too. But, just there you go, D-Boss is a very big noob. In fact, he would have already lost the game by this point, if he were playing. Like, he'd be player 3, and he'd be allied with both the other players, like they'd each ally him and put in vision, and so he'd just be kind of sitting there, and he'd lose by the 50-second mark easily. Anyway, let's go ahead and get this unpaused, and I'll talk about life in general. So let's unpause in 3, 2, 1, unpause. Now, I decided in the shower this morning, I guess it was afternoon, because it was like noon 15 or something, and right now it's 2:34. So yeah, I took a shower about 2 hours ago. Anyway, back on the topic of this game, I decided in the shower that I would, each audio I would give little micro tips and stuff. This came somewhat by request of a fellow staff member. He was like, hey, why don't you do an audio on micro? And I don't know if I could actually focus an audio on that and come up with enough things to say, but I figure, heck, every single audio I'll just insert some tips. So for you orc players out there, here's what's up. And I guess this will help Night Elf as well. Now, let's say you have a giant melee army, like you've massed hunts, you've massed grunts or something, and you're against range. Let's say a grunt HH army, right? And now, normally people would, you know, like, they'd either focus fire a single unit and, you know, let the game take care of itself, or move to the back of the army, then press attack move, and then you'd have, like, half the army split. Half of them are fighting melee, half of them are fighting the back line. Well, here's what's up. Now, you do the right click and you send them behind the army, but as they're going, select, like, the first 3, right click one of the headhunters or whatever. Select the next 3, right click one of the headhunters, and just select them as they're coming up. And that will make sure that you're not, you know, that half your army isn't just running around trying to get a piece of the action against that one unit, and you don't have half your army fighting the melee. They're all doing something useful. So that is important. Now, also, if you're fighting like an orc mirror, and you've got, you know, a big, giant grunt raider force, the best way to do micro, to look, is, well, first of all, you know, cycle between, let's say, your 2 control groups, like you have, you know, grunts, raids in 1, codas in 2, for instance. You cycle between, you know, 1 and 2 every, you know, second or 2, and you see if anything's drastically losing hit points. And then also, while you're doing that, you know, and you're casting chain lightning and shockwave and everything, or whatever you're doing, make sure you're looking at the main battle itself. You're looking at the screen, and just hit Alt. You know, keep hitting Alt. And if you see something turning red, then instead of just selecting the one unit and trying to pull it back, drag a little box around your units. Drag a little box around, you know, the unit, and, you know, just make the box as big as your thumb, you know? No, it's not very big, but it'll grab the grunt and maybe something around it. And then you right-click backwards. And if it's really red, then you can just send it back to the base. You know, you select the single unit now that it's out of the way, send it all the way back to the base, and then press whatever control group it's in, like 1, shift-click that unit, let's say it's wireframe or even the unit itself, control 1, and it's not going to run out of your base. Now, one thing you should do, though, overall, is actually to pull back units dynamically. Like, as the battle's going on, pull it back, you know, when they're, like, orange. Because, you know, essentially, here's what's up. If you can have your entire army be down to 200 hit points, something like that, that means you've tanked 600 HP on every single unit, and nothing's left the battle yet. Which means you had a lot of damage dealt to your opponent. You know, obviously the same amount, but the thing is, if all your opponent did was just run back a unit when it's red, like at 100 hit points, that means that he's pulled back half his army by now, and now you're fighting essentially 2 versus 1 odds when you can start really picking stuff off before your army dies. and that also makes healing scrolls be more effective, and something like healing might be more effective, and everything like that. You know, it also makes it sort of easier to pull back units and easier to pop a TP without you losing your army. Now, Geno's about to lose a grunt because he's a noob, but there you go. Yep, so there's grunt running away. Alright. And so that's kind of how you want to do it. You want to keep dynamically pulling stuff back and just sending it right back to the army. Because here's what's up. When you're pulling back a unit that's like somewhat weak, all you do is you pull it back the length of, let's say, your middle finger or something. You know, all you do is pull it away from the battle so that it disengages. And I mean, it'll be close enough to the battle. I like to do one click it, you know, 2 inches away from the battle. The units that you're fighting will disengage. They'll stop chasing the unit. They'll stop attacking the unit. Unless he's focus firing, then his army's going to start running through yours and go ahead and run to your base. You're just going to get free shots on him. But you know, your opponent will disengage, and meanwhile, your own unit, it's close to the battle, that'll just walk back in there. But this time he won't be attacked at all, so he's in good shape. And if you can keep cycling the units, they're all going to take damage really equally. It's like free Spirit Link, you know. This is, you know, and Spirit Link's an underrated spell, but the reason it's not really uber good is because, let's face it, you can do it yourself, you know? So, that's always nice. And yeah, you can mix it with Spirit Link for even better results, where you can just pop a healing scroll and your whole army is full health again, but, you know. Also, never use a healing scroll too early, never use it too late. I mean, that's kind of a stupid statement, because, duh. But, I mean, you don't want to use it when only 2 units are going to get help from it, but you don't want to use it when half your army's already dead. You know, because then it's pretty much a waste. You want to use it before stuff dies, but you want to be able to micro that stuff doesn't die until, you know, everything's hurt. So it's just sort of this give and take thing. Anyway, back to the game at hand. You can see he's going with Shaman for his unit. And meanwhile, he's just creeping around. He's creeping pretty good camps, you know. The mercenary... No, actually, I had it right the first time. The Goblin Merchants would actually be pretty much too hard to creep at this point when he's only got like 2-3 units. Let's say he's creeping these pretty easy orange camps. That will get him good experience and actually good items as well. So he's just gonna, you know, hit the thing, and that was a waste of a chain lightning, but whatever. He did get the creep after all anyway. So it's all good. Anyway, here he is trying to run away from the battle a little bit, fighting some foots, and yeah, here he goes running away now. Alrighty. And sure, try to steal a kill with a wolf or hit the Archmage, that works too. So, no kill steal, but hurts the Archmage, which is useful. You know, you never know when that's going to be really, really nice. And these are eventually going to time out, so no problem there. And so, you know, he's going to heal up, because he's got his Voodoo Lounge. One of the most important things you can do as Orc is get your Voodoo Lounge in time. You have to make sure you get it. You know, it doesn't matter if you're in a battle. Get the Voodoo Lounge, you know, before your army has to run home. Otherwise, you can get chased, and you can lose some stuff, because all he has to do is run some summons back behind your burrows. It doesn't matter if he loses the summons, they're just summons. But if he picks off a grunt or two, you're in really bad shape. So now, so far, all he sees is that his opponent has an Archmage. He's also forgot a grunt inside his base, because he's uber pro. And, yeah, he's just running around. And he's going to go with the standard Orc adage of grunt creeping with your Tauren Chieftain. And he managed to get his farce here unsalved, but whatever, he's at good enough hit points anyway. But one of the best things you can do is really just go around with your farce here while you're creeping with your TC and grunts. It's really, really important. It's really, really useful, and it helps a crap load, because getting level 2 shockwave fast is so important. And also, you know, higher level endurance are of course useful as well. So he's owning up some trappers, and oh look, his opponent creeping up, not anymore, and now he's gonna get owned because his opponent's not fighting any creeps, so no use there. Now his opponent has a lot of foots. Now when your opponent has a lot of foots and they haven't gone to rifles yet, they're obviously not getting rifles, and that means either they're going air or they're going caster. Now when your opponent goes Beastmaster, it means they're going caster. So just FYI, his opponent is going for casters. Now it's a good thing he went Shaman in the first place, because he's going to need a lot of them. He's going to be dispelling the summons best he can, casting Lightning Shield with his grunts. The problem is his grunts are going to die very quickly. Sure, the summons aren't going to do much damage or any damage if you can dispel them in time, but these casters are the perfect kind of grunts. What he needs to do really is this sort of Raider Demo Shaman force, unfortunately, that requires 3 buildings of production, but that's what you need to make, because that's just, it's what you do. It's important. Go do it. And good try taking the kill, but didn't get it. Healing Wards dropped for his opponent, and guess what? Bam, down goes the hero, because Shockwave owns. So that's good, he got a hero kill, and now he's just going to fight some foots, which really should be too hard to do. And his Farseer barely gets out of the surround like a lucker. And he needs to cast some more shockwaves, kills another foot. And his opponent's running away. He's not getting any more kills here. But, you know, he killed 2 foots and the Archmage, which is pretty good. So, yep, he knows his opponent's going Beastmaster, he knows his opponent's going Casters. And the thing is, these foots are going to stand up to Grunts pretty well. Oh, and I think he just lost a Grunt to Creeps. That was pro. These Grunts are going to do, or the foots are going to do really well against Grunts because the Grunts are slowed and the foots are getting healed by Priests. And, you know, all he has to do is tank for a short time with the foots until the Sorks can kill all the Grunts, and then he's in good shape. So you can see he picks up level 3 on the Farseer, which is important, and he purges the summon to get some free experience. Why not? Mana regenerates anyway, and experience is experience, so good luck, have fun with that. So he's gonna run home, heal up, get some mana, because he's low on mana on his heroes. He could use a Clarity. He'll go up to about 220 mana on his Farseer, depending on when he actually pumps the potion thing. And here we go. Picks up a bunch of salves and whatnot, starts healing the army. And yeah, he has actually finally pulled that Grunt out of his base, though I think that's the one that died to Creeps. Anyway, salves going live, sends off all the items to the Farseer, because he is the ranged hero, he's going to attack more, so why not give him the damage items? Meanwhile, though, I'd give the Circlet to the Torrent Chieftain so he could tank better and cast more shockwaves, but whatever. Anyway, he's going off to leave his base. Now, personally, I would creep to level 3 before I went and attacked, but, you know, if you can get it during a battle, why not? And he puts up the War Mill, and he's getting a Bestiary. And he's deciding that, yes, my opponent is going Casters, so let's get Wyvern and Raiders and all that fun stuff. Because that is really the good counter. So, Farseer's going to get himself a Healing Scroll, I believe. Yep. And he's going to the top right to see where his opponent is. See, maybe he's creeping, maybe I can creep that out. But I have a big enough army, I can creep that out, no problem. And gets a Protective Scroll on his Torrent Chieftain as well. So, and hey look, he sees his opponent running in there to try to expand and to creep and all that. And good timing, his opponent is trying to creep. So he runs away from these creeps. Wolves are summoned, and he's just going to try to kill everything he can. Problem is, yep, a foot died, and a Sork getting hurt. Puts up some Lightning Shield, puts up some Chain Lightning. He's trying to deal as much AoE damage as he can to his opponent's army, because that's how he's going to do damage. Sees the Beastmaster stuck right in the middle of everything, and that gets killed by a Lightning Shield. Or, sorry, the Sork got killed. So he's pulling the Shaman a little bit away from the battle so they don't get killed too easily. However, this Healing Ward is doing very nicely for him. He's really not losing anything. And he needs to purge away that bird. Problem is, he has 2 Shaman. So he is killing Sorks pretty nicely, but he's losing a lot of Grunts really quickly, though, and he's realizing that, dude, my army's like getting owned. Let's pull out before I lose everything. He's down to 47. The Beastmaster hit 4. You know, it's 3-4 versus 3-3. This is not good. And all he did was gain a little bit of EXP on his Torrent Chieftain. As you saw, it was close to 3 before the battle. It hit 3 now, but it's just barely 3, so he's not in great shape. So, and they traded some unit kills, and he had to burn a TP, and it's just not looking pretty. So anyways, here he goes to creep out this Expo, and presumably put one up. Anyway, right now though, he's getting his counter to cast with, which is air, which works pretty well as long as you can get rid of the Quillbeast and water elementals. And then you can, you know, just chain wave the casters and kill them with air pretty easily. It is a good counter system. So let's see. Yep, you can see he's got this Wind Riders out, and he's just putting in the food. And now, as a random note, when you're going Wyvern, like, let's say you're actually just going like mass Wyvern, straight Wyvern, as opposed to when you're going Wyvern, you're going air. You need to not be afraid to go in upkeep. Like, I as a player, like, hate going into upkeep. I try to stay at 50 as long as I can. I like put up an expansion and upgrade and do all this crap before I go into 50 food. That's not important. The most important thing you can do with air is really just mass up to 80 food, because air isn't like overpowered until you get like a number where you can instantly kill a unit, right? Because, you know, okay, fine, you know, air normally its advantage is mobility and whatever, but its other advantage is its high damage and its ability to focus fire. Now, normally your opponent, you know, he's gonna mass range, he's gonna have medium armor for all his units. You're not gonna get anything out of that. But if you can, like, what am I saying?